Hello, friends. Welcome to Lucifer Talks. And this is Danny. I'm here with a special guest today. As usual, I try to bring in from the industry who know what they're doing and who have changed life. Today, I have a young entrepreneur who is a big businessman, is running a big company with his brothers, and they have taken a name for themselves. So please welcome Meti Basiri, the CMO of ApplyBoard.
Thank you so much, Danny. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to for the next 1 hour. Let's talk and see.
Yeah. So what we are gonna do here is we're gonna just interact, and it's pretty normal, casual, so our people can understand. Normally, we have viewers from Southeast Asia and a lot Middle East as well. So we'll see who comes up on board and when they start watching this, and it's gonna be recorded live also. So before I jump into the question and answer session with you, Meti, I just want to ask about your own experience as an international student to Canada. Like your brothers came here, you all opted to come to Canada to study. Why Canada? Was it decided or it happened? Um, can you tell a little bit about your journey?
For sure, Danny. It's actually March 18 is gonna make the 10 years of our life to be like out of Iran. So that's where we originally came from. So it's a longer story, but I'll make it short. So Martin, my older brother, came here 2010, and took him a long time to get his acceptance there because he did everything on his own, and visa, everything. And then when he came here, he's really like that. And then he called parents. It's like no. And in Iran, it was very like out of range that people go for their undergrad abroad. It was more of like grad students going abroad for their education. So brother called the parents, say, no, this kid's gonna come here because I feel like came here already too late, and it's gonna be much better. And that time, like our English was like pretty much zero. And like it's a big thing, like you're just finishing grade 12 and there you go. And then in Iran, there is a military service that if you hit 18 years old, you can't leave the country if you don't have the military service. So it was about 10 days before we hit 18, we left the country. We went to Malaysia, and then we got acceptance of their everything. And then during the 5 months almost, we got our visa and we came to Canada. It was a lot of fun, but at the same time, very stressful, because I remember this is something I actually don't say that often. We went to, it was me and my sister. My dad says, go explore. If you guys can get the visa and then go, it's fun. We went to 7 traditional agencies and asked them, hey, we want to go to Canada. Every single of them say, no one from Iran goes for undergrad. You guys are not going to get visa. Don't. Let me send you to Malaysia. Let me send you to Turkey. That's time. Like 10 years back, they were this first destination. And we obviously didn't listen to them. And because the knowledge gap was huge, I'm sure that if they had the full pictures of the whole thing, they would have not stayed. But their knowledge gap was, I'm only studying Turkey, so whoever walks to my office, I should send them to Turkey. That was their job. So we went back home. I told my parents, out of 7, 4 said it's possible, 3 said it's not possible, but all of them said it's not possible. So longest story short, we got to Canada, and we went few months. We studied at Waterloo English, Renaissance, that's what it was. So we studied the English for a few months, and then like some fluctuation in currency happened, and we were going to study at Waterloo, and but then because of the currency exchange and internationals paying so much more, we decided to go to Conestoga College, which kind of turned out well, because after Conestoga we got our permanent residency fast. But it wasn't an easy thing. I think actually I'm jealous of the international students today, because at our time, like Danny, I remember I was the only international student in entire of business marketing. Imagine business marketing. That is one of the most like popular program right now between international students. I was the only one. Conestoga College that time, I think, had like 150 or so international students. So it was extremely hard to sit middle of everyone. It was good. It had its own benefit and cons, but I'm jealous sometimes, because now it's a lot easier for students coming here, get a job. It's knowledge are more available. there is more info out there, so there is a lot more students studying here. So I'm kind of jealous, but it has its own unique way, you know. Being the only foreign students in the class was fun. It was an easy journey, but it was, I think, like all fun. Now when you look at it, you talk about 10 years ago, so it's definitely a fun journey to say, you know. It's a good story for grandkids.
Totally, totally. I can relate to that. Especially when I came to Canada, I never planned honestly to come to this country. I'm like, Canada? Who wants to go to Canada? It's back in 2001 too. At that time, I was planning to go to UK for higher studies and apply to a university for my master's degree, waiting to get my acceptance letter. And in the meantime, a friend of mine was interested in going to fair at an agent's office related to Canada, and I'm like, okay, why do you want to go there? It's far away, and who wants to be in a cold country like Canada? And this friend was like, come along, let's see, maybe you like something there. I'll go there. I meet with Sean from Niagara College. He was the manager international at that point of time. And I liked the program in public relations. So I like, this is the program I want. And he looks at me, we had a good interaction. He's like, can you choose some other program? And I'm like, why? So maybe because they don't think Asian students or international students are a fit for that program. And I was like, I'm not even looking at coming to Canada. This is the only program I'm interested in. If I get in this, I'll come. Otherwise, I'm going to wait for UK. Maybe everything happened within a couple of months, not even months, within a month, literally. Admissions. At that time, you had to go to the embassy to submit your application. There's that small window. They'll open the window, they'll call you, and you put your papers in, and then they'll look at you. But it was a fun experience, and I can relate to that. That not a lot of services were given to international students. There was no such thing as postgraduate work permit, or you can work during studies. So you're coming here, you need to have the money in your hand, and you need to be able to afford everything all by yourself. But times have changed. And I can say Canada has come a long way. And a company like yours, which you guys have established, ApplyBoard, has also helped a lot of international students to come to this country and choose the best institutions because you have streamlined the way the agent market works. So we're going to talk about that. So now, almost 5 years of inception of ApplyBoard, I believe, and it's valued at what, $2 billion or $2.5 billion or more. Making it one of Canada's few unicorn companies, right? So, what would you say contributed to this immense success of ApplyBoard?
I think it's not black and white. It's not one or two things, right? I generally, and I've been doing a lot of this talk with many people. I think generally speaking, a good idea is the number one. Are you solving problem or not? And I was actually reading somewhere a few days ago says a problem that's just changed one life, it's not a $1 billion problem. The problem that changed many lives is a problem you want to address. And I think that's what you really look at in it. And I'm very happy actually ApplyBoard kind of came out and say, hey, international education market is a multi-billion dollar market. Because then you really look at it 7 years back, what was the biggest company you can think of? It was New Oriental in China, IDP, that's about it. There was like countless, less than 5 that they were like this. There was not EdTech, certainly wasn't there. So I think like it's not one or two things. First, the idea was good. Second, we really put our main focus that we're going to be a student-centric and we're going to do whatever it takes to make the students successful. And our vision, which I think, I'm not sure, Danny, if you came to our office or not, when you come, it says education is right, not a privilege. That's like what from the very first day we believed in, and we built our company based on mission, not based on how much we worked or how many employees we have or how many students even we help. We said we're gonna make education accessible. That is our first, and I'm super happy that seeing the company or organization in this industry that existed 20 years ago, suddenly they changed their mission and making it the same. And that is the biggest things that make me so happy that now companies coming that they didn't exist 2 years ago, they're going with the same vision, the same methods. I think the biggest success of ApplyBoard was great people. We had amazing people. We kind of started at the very right time. If we would have started today, this, and like we work extremely hard and we're a mission oriented company. Like our people, everyone in the company, they understand. Like you can walk to anyone working at ApplyBoard, say, what is it that you do? Why are you doing it? They will give you the answer. And I think that's the biggest thing that drives the company, because always you have one direction.
Frozen from my end. It seems like we are having some technical issues. I don't know it's my end or Meti's end. We'll see. Uh, yeah, we were frozen there.
Yeah.
And
You know what is so funny? Never had an internet issue in that the day, right?
yeah, and it was one of the best spot where we were stuck and like, oh, he's saying something and stuck.
How far did you guys get it? Sorry, I was like, I'm good. I have a good internet. You know, we're living in Canada.
Yeah, but it happens, right? That is something which a lot of people need to know, that Canada is such a wide country. And yes, it's seen as one of the developed country in the world, but maybe technology sometimes doesn't work the way it's expected to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, it's okay. I'm sure you lost the thought, whatever you had in your mind.
I don't know how far did we get, but I would say like it's a big thing that is a mission. We're a very mission oriented company.
Yes. So what I take from that is that the organization has developed a culture where it's a more around people and cultural management, and its change is something which comes pretty often, sometimes difficult for a lot of people, sometimes it's easy for a lot of people. But if you stress on the human resources, you can get the best out of everyone, right? There are two kinds of bosses. One who will look at the shortcomings and point at the person, these are the places you need to work more. The other will look at the success that employee is bringing to the team and focus on the success. That's
Exactly.
when the company will grow, right?
Yeah.
So ApplyBoard is a big thing in the Kitchener-Waterloo region, right? ApplyBoard is often seen on a hiring spree, and you have been creating jobs in the Kitchener-Waterloo region. Would you be able to comment as to how many of these employees you recruit are local Canadian citizens, permanent residents, in comparison to international students? I'm not asking for data, but
Yeah.
local.
I don't even have the exact data, Daniel, but I can. Yeah, I can give you this.
Yeah.
When right now we have about close to 550 people in KW area or GTAs. A lot
Right.
of new people we hired at their base in GTA, and the rest are outside of Canada. We're about close to 800 people right now as we speak. So a mass majority of our people, obviously, I think about 80% or so are permanent residency or Canadian citizen, but we do have a lot of people on postgraduate work permit. We actually, I think like last year, we helped more than 10 of our own people that they were international students through the nominee program get their permanent residency. In our company, when you walk, it's extremely diverse. Like when we used to have the pleasure of being in office, not anymore. I remember the last stat that we have people that in our Canada office were speaking from 40 plus language. And that's phenomenal. When you really think about it, a couple hundred people in a small building can speak over 40 languages. That was phenomenal. We have people from any country, you name it. Like it's extremely diverse company. Our strategy was never like, what is your education background or who you are or where you work? Are you a unique person? Can you do this job? Phenomenally, we have actually do have a lot of international students that they're postgraduate work permit or they're very students before, and they get it because they were on the other side. You know, it helped those people that they were born here or the people that they don't have the better understanding to understand it because their colleagues was the same stories as Meti or same stories as Danny. So I wouldn't have, unfortunately, the exact data, but we are 50-50 gender equity. We're driving our diversity, and that's something I think it's so unique in ApplyBoard that it's going to continue to be the same.
You have touched at a point which is very close to my heart, and that is equity, diversity, and inclusion. As a person of minority, myself, as a person of minority, yourself, there are things which we have seen in the country. We all want to be part of Canada, and we are helping Canada grow. On the same side, our expectation is that our cultures will remain intact, and we don't have to mold our cultures to be Canadianized. We can take some, but we still need to be who we are, and our cultural orientation should remain that way. And with people who can speak more than 40 different languages, people who are more than from different 80 countries working with you, they bring skill sets which are different.
Yeah.
And international students, immigrants, workers, when they come over to Canada, they not only bring the culture but the experience with them. They can actually help educate our local Canadian friends to understand how the world works overseas. Right? But there is another message which you just gave, and I feel the organizations in higher education should always think when they hire people do the job of international recruiter or promoter, that does this person have any lived experience from overseas? Has this person gone through the journey of being an international student or worker? Because that person can relate to the market well, right? Instead of you just plant somebody who has never been overseas, has never traveled, has no exposure, and they've taken a certificate program in intercultural certification, they cannot have the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Knowledge comes from experience, the lived experiences. And you're doing a great job in that field, and I really appreciate what the company has done so far. So, how many applications have been processed by ApplyBoard roughly in a year? And what is the exact number of students ApplyBoard registered to Canadian institutions? That's the first part. And I'll come with the second part. What are your top countries?
Yeah, for sure. Uh, I wouldn't be able to give the exact number, but what we can say, like we update our website once a while, like in every couple of months. As of now, in the last 5 years, we have helped more than 150,000. Obviously, that's it's not the exact. We're a lot more than that, but that's what we put publicly. And you can take a conversion and have a guess how many students we have placed, right? So usually depend on the schools and stuff like that. So it gets and that number is being doubling or more year over year. Fun fact, Danny, pandemic, Canada's number decreased by 78%, right? And then unfortunately, not many schools want to talk about it because I think unfortunately, sometimes the schools are so much in competition that they don't want to say, yeah, we had 50% loss or that. And then despite that, ApplyBoard is still we grow significantly. Actually, we did the research last month, actually early of January, we did the research. Our market share in a country, as example, as India, that is extremely important, has increased significantly despite the fact that total market has dropped. We're focusing on getting the best education and experience journey to the students and our partners all around the world. So that is something a pandemic really, I think, like it was good for ApplyBoard, despite the fact obviously everyone lost millions of dollars, but it allows us to go deeper and have a better relationship with our partners. So, and the second part of the question that you were asking, like what are the countries? I think it's not a hidden fact. Right now, actually 2022, 62% of the students coming to Canada from India. 62% has increased from 51% of it. So obviously India is our first country. Iran, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Philippines, China, those are the markets that you will see in the top 10. Our top 10 countries will change very rapidly this year because we expanded to UK. And UK has its own things. We have expanded to Australia, and now hopefully with the Biden administration, there's a lot of more things that we're going to see in USA. We're very, very much in terms of like getting the students out of countries, we're very diverse. Having said that, when the whole country gets 62% of students from a country named India, I can't come here and say I'm getting 20% of students out of India, because that's not going to be the fact, right? So we're trying to look at the country. There is 40 countries that we're going extremely deep in the next 3 years, and they're all over. Like, we depend on the country. For example, when you look at Brazilians, there's 3-4 times more students going to Australia. So that's market that we're focusing: Brazil to Australia, less important than Brazil to Canada, because higher ed is not as popular, as example, in Brazil. Yeah. So that is more of this, but India is our first country, and I don't think that's a surprise to anyone, you know.
It's not, but there are a lot of people who are in the industry, especially in the higher ed sector, who are in universities or colleges. So many times the comments would be at the board meetings, we don't want that many Indian students. And I personally say that thank you to pandemic, now they're not saying that, right? Now they're like, whoever comes, we're going to take that student because now is the time for them to survive.
Yeah.
Um, when this happened, I myself was in certain meetings, and I'm like, now every other institution will say we will accept students from India if they're all coming from India, not a problem at all. And that's how it should be. If they can afford to pay the tuition fee, if they can come here and contribute in the Canadian economy, it doesn't matter where they're coming from.
100% agree. And I frankly, sitting on this side of table, I had this conversation with many in schools. I think the school's first priority is teaching their students. Doesn't matter where they come from.
Totally.
That is their first priority. If we want, I get it. I was one international students in many Canadian students. I get it. Diversity of campuses is important, but it's not Danny or ApplyBoard can solve this problem. It starts from government level, advertise. Like, for example, that you go to Nigeria or Ghana, huge number of students willingly to come to Canada. Then the visa approval drop to lower than 20%. So for someone like you, as a, for example, Laurier representative, going to Ghana or Nigeria, you have to get 500 students. Let's say to get 100 enrolled students, but you can go to India and get 200 students and get 150 enrolled. So then there is a balance of, are you willing to spend more, invest more in diversity? And usually the school's answer is no, we can't. We don't have resources. We don't have admission team. So there is those challenges. And I'm happy that has happened in the pandemic, but we should not forget, like, India is the largest country in terms of population in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There have a lot of, like, India for itself is diverse. I've been in 18 cities in India. I love it. Like, you go from south to north, you see a different country. So I don't think like diversity should be just the question. It should be how much can we support these students and support them through the journey. 5 years back, Chinese was the number one. Maybe 5 years from now, Nigeria is going to be one. I don't think that should be matter to education service providers.
Sure.
We're here to serve the students wherever they come, they welcome.
Yeah, that is very right. So you said you've been to India and to 18 cities in India, 18 states probably, right?
Yeah.
Did you manage to pick up something from India's? Any language did you pick up?
So this is the funny thing. Like, Punjabi Boldaya, we have a lot of Punjabi team members, so I always like had fun. There is actually, because I'm Persian, like there is a lot of Urdu words. So like those are the things that you hear and then you make sense, right? But last year, this time I was in India last year. This time we were just opening our office. A lot of people think I'm India. When I'm in India and I start speaking a word and I said, no, I don't speak Hindi or anything, they look at me with confusion, like, huh? But you look Indian. Why are you not speaking Hindi, Yeah, it's great. Like, I think like I totally can see myself leaving India for a couple of months, I have no problem. I love people. India and Vietnam. Vietnam is one of my favorite countries too. The food there, we've been there. The food in Vietnam is something else, if you like vegetables, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Good. So I hope you picked up some good words in India, because it's very important from the language. Or maybe
Yeah.
you say, "Hanji, theek hai, sab, everything is fine, right?" And you'll go through that.
Yeah.
Vietnam, on the other hand, is also a very interesting country. And just now, I had a haircut, and the lady came to my home to give the haircut, and she's Vietnamese. And we were chatting about Vietnam and Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, and pho, and she was asking me what kind of food I have tried. And she was surprised that I'm more weirder than her, that I've tried very different food than she would have even tried. That's what we do when we travel to different countries, and
Yeah.
that's how we learn about those different cultures, right? It's good that you like India and you are understanding that that country still has the potential, because that's, I feel India will still lead a lot of institutions, and it's such a diverse country with 29 states, 250 dialects, and 18 plus official languages. And but you'll be surprised, sometimes people are like, this person is coming from India but doesn't speak enough English. And I'm like, yeah, but why do you think that everyone in India should speak English? Because English is your official language. That is true, but that doesn't work the way you think it's going to work. So India is
Yeah.
so diversified. We should be open to students from every level and caliber. And I personally feel if you can tell the high commissions or the visa officers that they should actually consider uh, some of the Indian students to be eligible for language plus um, undergrad or diploma or those programs, that will open up more opportunities for the students from India.
100%.
Yeah. And as you already mentioned that you're expanding into Australia, UK, and US, which market do you find is the toughest to crack in? And which one you feel is going to be your second best or first best in future?
This is the easy answer. UK is our second already.
Mhm.
And I think we've been there. We launched UK extremely good timing. Last year, April, we launched UK. So UK is definitely going to be second. I think the hardest one would be definitely Australia because the rules are very different. Like the whole GT process, and at the scale that we are, Danny, we have to do things by book.
Mhm.
We're not sitting in a company that it's 20 people. Yeah, we break these rules or that rule, it's okay. And also, because of the rules process is very different at Canada's market or UK, then it made us to realize we have to do more development. Some process has to change. So I see Australia is going to be harder to tap into, but because of the network that we have and the ambitious goal, it's still, I think, like for example, in next year, this time we're putting over 10,000 students in Australia. So it's hardest, but when it comes to the quantity of the students, we're very still feeling comfortable that we're going to place thousands of students to Australian schools too. It's just, I guess, it's more of like if you're a 50 years old company that you existed before I was born, it's a lot easier. You already figure out, you have a lot of process, there is everything is been figured out. When you're less than a 6 years old company and then you have 800 people and you're growing with the speed that we are, then things like this becomes even harder sometimes because it's not one problem that you're solving. There is millions of other problems that you have to solve too.
Yep, yep. Hidden issues come up every day, which you haven't thought about.
Yeah.
Australia, let's talk about Australia itself. So, when you're getting into the market, I'm sure you have looked into the whole map of the country and where there's higher demand for the tertiary level education. So Darwin or Adelaide might be the areas where you see institutions are more receptive. With pandemic, literally the entire country would be. But as international students, the focus is on getting permanent residence as well, right? Just like the rural immigration in Canada or provincial nomination in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, people can get the same kind of opportunities in Australia. It's not going to be in Sydney, it's not going to be in Melbourne, um, or it might be, but if you are getting into a higher ed level. So, which areas are you focusing on? And are you going to have pan Australia office base or just in Sydney or Melbourne?
On the first part of question, I wouldn't have a lot of knowledge, and that's a good thing. When 4 years ago, I knew everything. 3 years ago, I knew everything. 2 years ago, I knew. Unfortunately, I don't exactly know because
Right.
it's a very new, and I'm not actually very much day-to-day operational anymore. We have an amazing team that does it. So I wouldn't know the answer. And Australia was really launched January 1st for us. So I haven't looked at the data deeply. Having said that, on the second part, I think with the whole pandemic, we're going to be more careful around, do we need offices anymore? That would be the question, I think, like we weren't asking 2 years ago, right? We will have many people based on Australia that works for ApplyBoard, but I don't per se see that we're going to invest in offices. As of now, we have office in Kitchener-Waterloo. We have we're opening like our over 50,000 square feet office in Gurgaon in India, which right now is on construction, and we're creating actually a huge hub for any sector from industry can pop in and work there. That's something we're going to do that too. So you can, next time you're in India, if you want to find an office to work, you can just go there and work. And we're going to create a lot of those hubs, I would say. But I don't see as of now any plan on expansion of offices. When me and you can have this conversation and you can be anywhere, so why does it matter?
Yeah, something if employers have learned, it's that you can do the work from anywhere at any point of time. You don't need to be confined to an office, right? I think my office is my laptop or iPad, and I can be working from a beach in Thailand and still produce and generate the revenues which my institution expects me to do. So that's what the goal should be. So other part, I've seen that ApplyBoard works with a large sub-agent network. Right? And from the institution side, sometimes people have concerns. And these concerns could be maybe because they don't know how the control measures or the quality control measures are taken in place by ApplyBoard. So what steps the company normally takes to establish that you have the right people on your panel working under ApplyBoard as your sub-agents?
It's a great question, Danny. And I actually want to say something that I'm proud of, that hopefully in 5 years, no one used the word of agents. And I think we absolutely have achieved this. Seeing the new companies and they call it recruiters, it makes me so happy. And I'm not going to name any companies. We were the first company came, says we're not working with sub-agents, we're working with recruitment partners, because I don't feel agent is a good word. These people are putting their heart for students. I have seen agents that went to from like himself went to the United States, study, came back, said, I want to help more. So I don't think agent is right. So I'm going to add just as our recruitment partner. And why recruitment partner? Because I think word has changed. An IELTS teacher can be a recruitment partner. Can you not tomorrow, if you want to become an Uber driver, why don't you have your taxi license driver? No, you can be a Uber driver as long as you have no criminal record, you have this. I think industry should come step back and look at it. Bad apple exists everywhere.
Right.
We don't need to I never consider there's no fraudulent happening. No, there is a fraudulent. We launch multi-million-dollar product called ApplyProof to drop like a stub as much as we can. Having said that, I think it's, first of all, we need to understand that these people are helping, and 99.9% of them have a great intention for the students. But that being said, 43% of people applying to become a recruitment partner don't get chance, unfortunately. And we reject them, 43%. And that means something, that we're doing a great way of doing. Have we had challenge? Obviously. Will we have more challenges? Obviously. But we look at it, how we can avoid it. Also, the other thing is we have this concept of our representative, our account manager. So a person that join ApplyBoard as our recruitment partner get assigned to one person. And one of our goals within 3 months to visit that person. So we take a note. A lot of people don't know. We take a note. How is their office? How many people they have? So we do a lot of quality check. The other thing that we're doing is a credit scoring. So anyone has a credit scoring. Any single of our recruitment partner has a credit score in ApplyBoard. If their credit scores drop out of this, they could be a great partner, but conversion is low. We flag those people. So we're very sensitive. Here's the other thing that you will hear in April. I'll scroll the news just for you. We created a course called ABCC, ApplyBoard Canada course, that is going to be launched April 1st. And it's going to be 8 hours course that anyone can take. And post of that course, they can know very much how to recruit the students to Canada. So this is something that we created, and we're going to ask all our partners to give it to their staff. It's going to be free of charge for our ApplyProof partner. It took us, Danny, 6 months to create that course. 10 people, 6 months, we created a course. I think like what we realized, there are problems. We're not going to say there's not. It's very fractional problems. It's not a massive problem. We're taking any initiative we can, and there is a lot of room to improve in upcoming years. But we're at the point that we already know who are those bad apples, and we terminated there. So they don't work with us at this point, but it could still happen. This industry is going to be, every year we're going to have thousands of new students went back home and they become recruitment partners. So there is this cycle is going to continue going. We might see, like I just yesterday saw something that Punjab government in India is going to become agent or recruitment partner. So like if they come work with us, we do work with them, So there is nothing that I would say like this. There is a lot of those changes happening, which I think at the end is better for the students.
I actually liked your approach when you reacted to the word agent. And to be honest, when you translate, English is a very funny language, right? When you translate English in different languages, the word might not mean respectable in a lot of ways, right? The example could be laurier. If you translate laurier in Japan, it turns out to be something else I don't want to say on TV on this interview, because that's something which would be like, oh, I don't want to be associated with. So international recruiter partners, that is something which is a way to go forward. And if you're vetting people in a way that should be, there shouldn't be any doubt that you have the best people to be working with you. So now we'll talk about ApplyProof. So you just mentioned you have invested millions of dollars in that product. What is ApplyProof, and how can it change the education sector?
Great question, Danny. Canada is the only country we don't track our students well enough compared to UK, Australia, or US. We don't track the acceptance that there's been issued to the students. And it's extremely bad that a Canadian institution document that's been introduced and produced by Canadian institution cannot be verified by Canadian government. Just here once again, documents that have been produced by Canadian institution cannot be verified by Canadian government at the click of button. It's a lengthy process, and unfortunately, there are people or students take advantage, twist stuff in there. We have seen it. You have seen it. It's not a problem that we don't want to just hide it. And there is a lot of issue that raise. As students, they weren't eligible, they come to the country. Eligible students that needed to have more money came to the country. Many other things. And I've seen that the students have manipulated those situations. I have seen some partners has manipulated. So we invested in this. We realized this 2 years back that this problem exists. And we realized that no one is doing anything about it. So we step back and say, it shouldn't be a hard solution. So we invest millions of dollars. We had like some government grants into that too. And now we have probably over 70,000 documents has been ApplyProof. It's a separate org within ApplyBoard. ApplyBoard doesn't really day-to-day, they have their own development, their own people, everything. So it's pretty much is going to be any acceptance there or paper producing by schools in Canada could be have a tag like IELTS that you can verify, that a student's embassies, anyone can verify the latest version of that document. That's the simplest way to explain it. And hopefully, I'm really glad that we did that, because that's a problem. If no one really solved, we can face a massive issue. We kind of saw some stuff start happening in Canada, what we saw in Quebec a few months back. We need to be careful. This market is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry, but so fragile. When anyone in the industry see a problem exists, we need to address the problem. And as a company that has a good market share in Canada, we saw that's a huge threat to the industry, that if this become more a thing and Canadians gonna take so long, the offices to verify document, the spot check. So we invest millions of dollars and we continue to do that. Hopefully every single student has the confidence they're getting the most legitimate document. Offices has the confidence that they're getting, and actually going to help diversity too, because I don't know, in some countries, I'm not going to name countries, the biggest issue offices has is the actual proof of the financial document, stuff like that. So that's going to really give a confidence to the officers that these are better documents. And I'm actually surprised this was something that never was done before, because I-20 in US was 20 years old.
Mhm.
Australia has the same things. UK has the same things. Canada doesn't have anything. We're pretty much like the country with the second highest number of international students with nothing in place.
Right. I'll take now about your ApplyProof product. It's a useful product for the institutions for sure. I feel it's a useful product for the visa offices as well, right? If they are able to buy into ApplyProof and see what value it brings to them, it will cut down the fraudulent documents they have to go and investigate. Certain countries, I'll name India now, recently, the government has introduced the policies which are very much like the Western world's policies. They are coming with DigiLocker, which is literally like now your university certifications and transcripts will have that digital thing, and it can be checked anywhere in the world. And you won't be able to fabricate the degree, and you won't be able to tell you bought it or what you did with that. I believe this apply proof would be a big tool in Africa. As you know, the visas and the way visas have gone down, you mentioned Nigeria. At one point of time, I felt every second Nigerian was getting visa to come to Canada. But after a while, the entire market has gone down. And what's the reason? In India, we call it 420, and in Nigeria, we call it 421. And that is like all falsification, all things where someone will try to be smarter. And yes, we talk about discrimination, we talk about those issues, but visa officers have to think through their head, not through their heart. Right? That's their job. And maybe, I don't know if you've already pitched it to the embassies. This product seems like something which will help this education sector.
Definitely.
So, any plans for establishing a public private partnership or entering into a market as an education provider for ApplyBoard?
Easy answer, no. We're not going to be teachers. We're not going to be that. What we have done, which we're proud of it, work with the school, giving them the knowledge around what is the demand, create these programs. We have working right now with many schools in terms of representing them. We working now, but do we want to be the one teaching? I don't think that's ApplyBoard's job, I don't think we ever gonna be in that industry in terms of private. Like we're an ed company, we're EdTech. We're not So it's an easy answer. No, we're not going to have our own colleges. I'm not planning at least to do that. And actually, let me say something. It makes you biased when you go buy your own college, and then you're representing thousands of schools. You to put your vision on the side. You can't come to the world say, I want to make education accessible and it should be a right. We had the schools, Danny came to us, so we pay you thousands of dollars on advertisement, show us first. Nope, we don't do it. So we know when you go if let's say I'm going to open a college in Toronto, then do you think what would be my first priority to fill? College in Toronto. Then it creates a conflict interest between what we want and what we should. And I think that's an easy answer. We're not going to be in that. And I really want actually people that they're exploring those things to step back and take a look at it. What is it? Pick one. It's great. There is millions of dollars in public-private partnerships. There is millions of dollars in recruitment. There are millions of dollars in service. We don't need to do it all. Let's do one, but do it well.
Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. Now we have been in this pandemic environment working from home for almost a year, right? Everything is going online. Do you see an increase in online education, the demand in online education by international students? And can your platform be used by universities and colleges to actually promote online certifications, diplomas to foreign students?
It's a great question, and I think that's a $1 billion question for itself, right? We have to start promoting some, not many online programs in our platform. Doesn't make any difference for us, same process. Uh, I wouldn't know if I think it will. It will definitely some students gonna take shorter certificates, stuff like that, because they don't want necessarily the immigration or the experience of being. But I think this is going to be a bigger impact, which I see happening in a few years, that a school is going to say, why do I teach my students? Let's say why the students should come take an elective course in class when that can be online. And then the schools have spent millions of dollars in the last year to switch to online. So what I think is going to happen, some when international students, let's say 2 years from that come, they're going to do blended. Half's going to be in class, half's going to be online, which actually going to add a lot of capacity to schools. Now there is no capacity issue when you really think about it, because now the schools can use the same chair for 2 students before they were using for one. That is something that's going to happen, which is great for the institution side. And I see government's going to be okay with it, that, hey, as long as you do 3 course full time in class, you can do 3 online. And that was something it wasn't allowed before pandemic. That's something I think is going to be a big change in our industry, which I think is going to be open the new market, because now the students that might need more financial support they don't need to be in classes 30-40 hours in class. They be 15 hours in class, they can have a part-time job and they can work. I think that's something I think I see happening. But on the online thing, I don't know how much that's going to be different, at least for the younger generation. Maybe like people our age, yeah, I don't mind taking 3 months course online, but I wasn't even planning to go abroad for 3 months, leave my job, leave my family for 3 months. So I don't know. I haven't seen a big change per se.
Right. What I see is, if for anything like that to happen, it has to happen from the federal government's level, right? Because there needs to be some changes in the IRPR, the immigration rules and regulations should change. Because as an international student, you're expected to be in class, right? And you're expected to be enrolled and all that. How institutions are gonna accept this kind of a change is something we all have to wait and watch. Um,
Yeah.
what is your message for a mature student who has, let's say, 10, 15 years of work experience, has an undergrad degree or maybe a master's, and at that point of time was doing great in their career in their home countries, could be Iran, could be China, India, anywhere, and now they see an opportunity in Canada, mainly as a destination to immigrate. But because of the age factor, they know they won't be able to come, and
Yeah.
they want to choose education as a route. Do you see governments might take a softer approach towards these mature students and let them give an opportunity to study?
It's a great question, because the higher your age goes, the lower visa chance you have. And I wrote the blog about this. I literally did, and it's a fact. And we get it why, right? It's harder to do. Uh, I hope so, because I think that's a whole new things. The new channel of the market's gonna come, and it's you said it well. Even I think there are people that they're great entrepreneur or the great business owner. I've seen it in my eyes. They have no education, but they want to now migrate because of their kids. So if the person created a multi-million-dollar business in Vietnam, I don't see why government shouldn't let this person to come do a 2 years, 3 years education and then migrate here, because this person done it once, gonna do it again. So
Right.
I hope our immigration policy, we saw a great new express entry that with 75 points people were getting withdraw. I didn't believe it. I thought like
They
that's
must
crazy. A
Yeah.
good friend of mine say for in order to be draw, all you needed to be a live person in the last draw, pretty much, because you didn't need a lot of things. It's great. I think Canada's gonna. We know as a Canadian, we realize the benefit of immigrants.
Mhm.
We're short. Even 400,000 immigrants annually is not enough when you look at it. If post pandemic we're gonna have like financial crisis coming, I think immigrants are become more important. So I think that's a thing. Hopefully, we're going to have more immigrations and easier immigration because there are amazing people around the world, and I have a lot of respect. I'm blessed to be a Canadian citizen and live here, but I think immigrants work their hard. They literally work like me and you. We can sit here and talk about the times that we didn't have much money, but we work so hard, and I think that's this country about. Like people come, the first generation do such a hard work, and the next generation little go down. So we always need this first generation, and I'm pros at that. I think like it's a great country, and we need more immigrants from everywhere. So
So I'll just say on that, as you and the company has some ways to reach out to the immigration ministers, so maybe on your discussion tables, push this cause for an open view for people who have experience. Because if they have experience, they have maybe 10 years, 15 years, they'll still bring in that experience to Canada and help make Canada a better country. So
100%.
now you've seen that with this pandemic, with the shift on online work, remote work, and all, a lot of new mushrooming has been happening in the name of EdTech companies. I'll say, as a representative of an institution, I literally receive proposals every second day from a new company trying to tell that it's almost like ApplyBoard. What's your take on that?
I love it. I have it every week. I get a new online portal. Two reasons I say I love it. One, why in the city I live, there is a Kitchener in Kitchener Waterloo. There is a Waterloo University, and there is a Laurier and Conestoga College. They're not each other competition. They all wanna. They're unique in something. They want to help, and that's why I love it. There is so much market. It's a massive billion-dollar market sitting here. We still can have 10 other apply boards. Having said that, I think people should know ApplyBoard wasn't just an online thing. Being an online platform doesn't grant you access to become ApplyBoard. I think that's the piece that a lot of people forgetting. That they think I've been a traditional, like the recruitment. Now I'm gonna after 20 years create online and I'm ApplyBoard. I don't think ApplyBoard was online. No, we didn't come. We came with a new vision. We came with a new. We disrupted the whole thing that was. I love when I go and see in these businesses that says we're educating the world. We're making education accessible. Why? Because at the end we're all one thing. And if they truly, to their heart, what they're putting out there, they believe in it. I can guarantee there will be next ApplyBoard, and I absolutely have no problem with that. I think it's great. Competition makes any company better, but at the same time, there wouldn't be any competition between Waterloo or Laurier. Laurier is great in business. Waterloo is great in engineering. I think like we all gonna find our niche and do what we do well. Having said that, just being online doesn't make you an apply board. And I want to see what other people do because sometimes it's easier to see what other people do. You see what they're good they do, you take it and do it well. Sometimes we have no path to look like. There is no one in front of us to say, wait a second, let me look at their tech. Let me look at what they did better than us. There is nothing. So I love the fact those new people come and then we look at what they're doing good. If something is good, we're going to do it better. If we're doing something worse, they come and they found those weakest spots and they do it better. It makes us better. So at the end, better for our students, better for industry. I don't see any reason we shouldn't. I shouldn't be happy. I reach out to all of them, say, hey, happy to help. If you're truly believing in your vision and mission, happy to help. If it's just about money, then it's fine. Do it. There is a great business to make.
So there's no shortcut to success, I'll say that, right? You
Yeah.
can create your EdTech company. strange thing is, a lot of people, when they start something like they think they're going to be ApplyBoard, and they open a website, and they're like, we are going to provide the similar services like what ApplyBoard has been providing. On the other side, there are people who will look at that and say, it's just a website. We don't know what's happening behind that, right? And what mechanism are in place, what features they have. So that's something to look at. So who do you see as your competitor, though, in this
I
industry?
don't. I actually add something and answer that. I think, Danny, the biggest things that uh, any of these people need to know about online, it takes time to run. We still have a lot of rooms to improve, but you wouldn't find a single of our partners says apply would take a cent away from me. We're the most transparent company in this industry. If we have a delay, it's there. If it's we get sent, we pass sent. I think this takes a lot of time for companies to build that reputation. Yeah, there would be a challenge as sometimes application gets delayed. This is a growing pain. Our partners been super nice to us and supporting us. I think transparency is something that it takes time for people and trust to build. Who do I see as our competition? Google, LinkedIn. They realize how big is this market and they tap to it. That's what I would be worried about. That Google suddenly come. If Google tomorrow come to you say, hey, do you see that apply button? I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna start sending you students. That's what I would be worried. I wouldn't be worried for another company coming in 2 years, still grow, raise money, do that. That's all good. Out of 10 company, a startup starts, 9 fails. Out of 100 company, won't become ApplyBoard. So here's the odd. Out of the next 100 online platform, there could be another 5 ApplyBoard, and I love to see them because I want to they do something better than us. So that creates a healthy things that you become better for the students. So
Yeah, it seems like you love the number 5. And my next question leads to, where do you see the company in next 5 years? And what innovation will you and the team will bring to the international recruitment?
many innovation that we're gonna bring. We're going to hopefully make the market more be quality focused. We're working very closely with our partners to realize quality is number one, and students' experience is number one. We're building a lot of tech behind the scenes that most likely we've had a quick chat before this. Most likely in early of 2022, we're gonna see. But what we really look at in it is enabling our partners to do what they're good at, which is service of the students, counseling. So a lot of our tech's gonna be around that, and we're working with our partners, giving them better understanding on how they can increase their market and market share. And in the next 5 years, what I think we will see and we're going to focus a lot is definitely the mobility of students. I would love to see an Indian student come to Canada for a year, go to Australia for a year, go to US for a year, then come back to Canada for the 4th year. I would love to see that because that as students going to be the biggest gem in your gem box. I think that's something that we're going to invest a lot. That mobility, same here. Send the Canadian students to India for a year, Vietnam for a year, come back 2 years to do. That's something I see. It's a big thing. It might take 50 years. That mobility around the world will start happening because then that would be something that will, when your kid, as example, Danny, goes sit in Vietnam beside people and raise, when he come or she comes back, gonna appreciate the life a lot better, appreciate what we have. So would it take 5 years or 50 years? I think if God bless me with the age, I'll hopefully can see that, If not, the ApplyBoard's company gonna be a stay there for the next generation to work on it and make that really available. And hopefully we can educate millions of kids around the world.
Totally, totally. I'm gonna come on a wrap-up question now. You see, majority of international students, they choose Ontario or they choose British Columbia. Do you have any message in particular for them, that should they be focused on the provinces or should they be open to entire Canada? What's your message?
Oh, I'll make this a personal. I didn't know where's Kitchener before I come here. And it was just Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal and I supposed to go to Toronto because my uncle used to live there. Having said that, I'm so happy I moved to Kitchener. Kitchener has changed, and in the last 10 years, Kitchener was like, I loved it because it was a smaller community. It was something that I liked. If 10 years back you were coming to Kitchener versus Toronto, it was a question, why Ontario versus Manitoba? I think be open to it. Every province has its own advantage to offer. It's easier for maybe mature students to go to those provinces for the permanent residency if that's their goal, because there is more nomination available for them. Be open to it. There is a lot of great institutions and schools, and trust me, and this is a question a lot of people, when -20 is there is no difference between Ontario -20 or Alberta. Yeah, their winter is a slightly longer, I get it, but be open to it. If there is a lot of more affordable education in different provinces, that's my message. Be open. I wasn't planning to study in Kitchener. I wasn't planning to study in Canada too. It came out of nowhere. So be open and go with it. It's 2 years of the life. When you have an 80 years life expansion, 2 years, 3 years doesn't make a big difference. As long as you truly feel happy and you're putting your best effort in it.
Great. So friends, this was our session with Meti, and thank you, Meti, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And you were very candid in providing whatever I was looking for. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers were able to get some insights about plan ApplyBoard has. And I'll try to say in Persian, Khaili Mamoon, Sepas.
Thank you so much, Mehdi. I appreciate it. Thanks, Danny, and thanks for having me. And enjoy the rest of the weekend. It's now sunny. When we started this conversation, it was snowing. Now it's sunny. So I think enjoy the sunshine, buddy.
Yes, I will. Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.